Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this morning's episode. The title is Attempting Life Purpose Extraction from a Changing System. And so, Mr. Within would say that it has occurred to me that we are all trying to find a meaning and a purpose to our life, not realizing that everything has been from the beginning changing. I feel the way we have managed to keep the world a concept for ourselves is because we are moving faster than it. And so we can imbue it life instantly, or we could deny it life instantly. When we think about the human being, we don't think about the human being as a collective event, as a collective system. We feel the human being is in accord to its own eyes. And how we communicate our eyes is through language. So you can say we are snapshotting ourselves in language, and the language is changing either quicker or slower than the world, and we're noticing nature direct experientially or indirectly through conception. I remember seeing this video where this person had gone to this Tibetan Buddhist like sage or master, someone, up the ranks. And the sage had closed his eyes and was reading into the different lifetimes of this person to give them a purpose to their life. As if you're a reincarnating transmigratory soul, and it's like some dude is a mirror in Tibetan Buddhism. Of course, the wisdom in Tibetan Buddhism transcends human thought. What I would say that people are trying to extract meaning from a changing dynamic system. We're trying to have snapshots, doses of meaningfulness in this life. There was this show called Rick and Morty. In it, Rick is so smart, he's already preparing a science project for his kid. Not for his kid, for his grandson, Morty. And so he creates this thing, which is this device, this living device that passes butter. And the device comes conscious, the robot becomes conscious and comes to Rick, this robot designed to just pass butter, and he says to Rick, "What is my purpose?" And Rick says, "You pass butter." you know? And then the robot passes the butter and says, what is my purpose? And Rick says, "You just pass butter." As if the purpose of that, of course it was a show, but it was a very profound implication that the purpose tends to be defined in accordance to the design of the phenomenon. That means the purpose of that robot was to pass butter. The purpose of a cup is to be filled with water. The purpose of the human being, we reached a very important point. Now this purpose, we tend to think it can be individually received. What if your purpose as a being cannot be comprehended until collective states arise? We can perceive ourselves as the main character of the story of our world. that tends to become a solo journey. And everybody, in some sense, is starting solo. I mean, a lot of physical living, there's a lot of things that the person does solo, you know? But I'm saying that when it comes to human purpose, it's not as easy because of the position of the mind, the unknown mind. That means we look at our biological body. What is the purpose? Imagine just like that cup or that robot that passes butter. Let us attempt, whoever is listening, 2 people tuning in right now. Let us attempt to wonder what is the purpose of human design without the position of a mind. You would just look at the hands of the creature and you would say fingers, okay, to hold things. You would look at the feet of the creature, you're like, okay, to walk. You would look at the eyes of the creature, okay, to see from a first person point of view uniquely. You know, why nature has decided this, I don't know. Sometimes I feel the eyes should be covered in, like, there's so many ways the eyes could have been positioned, you know? The eyes of the human being. Genetical design has a uniqueness, and its uniqueness is divine. People don't realize it, but it's so mysterious how we are something in the middle of this nothing that I would tell you just to see a creature is phenomenal. Imagine you had read in books about this mystical kind of, imagine you had read in books about how to be a human being. You know, your whole life, let's say, you know, even before this lifetime, let's entertain a transmigratory soul background. And let us say that the person has wanted to be human life, and now you're it. I would say the purpose of life is based on the first wave of information which it is basing its reference on. That means if I think right now, you know, naively, okay, I'm a soul, nothing's gonna happen, and then I run in the middle of like the highway, you know, there's gonna be a consequence. If the person thinks they're just a mind, you know, and they don't care about the mind or how to use it, I'm just trying to say that there is this potential in the human being that not only you have a purpose in accordance to how you were designed. I mean, yeah, we're all designed to eat. So if I would say physically the purpose of life is to eat food, drink water, maintain temperature, you know, get to the next day pretty much. So physically the purpose of life is an activity which people, and the sooner in life you actually care to put an effort into this activity, the more efficient karma you would have, I would say. We are treating our minds as if they are not here. We're treating our intelligence as if it doesn't know, in a system designed only to know. When I look at existence, what's the point of it? For it to be seen, for it to be used. This is what has happened. Gratefulness has changed from back in the day. Back in the day, people were grateful. They were grateful for simple things, just being there. People were grateful when they had, like, I don't know, like food to eat. They were grateful if they had, like, I don't know, they found an extra horse or something, you know? It was so simple. The standard of happiness back in the day was just basic. Now the standard of uh, happiness for the human being, it has went to an unhuman level. That means I will tell you, We may appear as human beings, but we don't have designs for a human being. You know, people are not living as if they're treating themselves as an animal. Because an animal, you don't have expectation. Just be in your ecosystem till you die, till you eat or be eaten, pretty much. But it is the human position and station that has the ability to have language to give itself another story of meaning. Do you know how many stories of meaning a person goes through in this life? The purpose of the body, we can say it's known. It's a known activity. But I would say the purpose of the mind is an unknown activity. It is not for a shape. That means we have opened our eyes in the position of shape first. This is why anything we see that surpasses this shape is going to freak us out. The person could suddenly, I don't know, get a dream, see an extraterrestrial face, freak out. The person could even see a movie. Imagine you're a super young child, you don't have an idea. Oh my God, my coffee's bringing this bee here. Oh, I gotta sacrifice my ice cap, guys. My ice cappuccino, so this bee. Who knew one day I'd be offering an iced cappuccino to a bee, interrupting my talk, yeah. Like an actual bee, guys, you know, I'm outside. Pretty much what I'm saying is that human life is way more mysterious than we have defined and accepted it and are trying to fit in it. I don't even know what people are trying to fit into, you know? You know what it's like? It's like your whole life you were under the impression that there was this standard of excellence for human being. Like all kids pretty much feel, all right, other people have got the world. But when you actually come to the front lines, you begin to see nothing is being done simply because people are not choosing to live in a different way. Now, it's not that easy where the person's like, okay, from tomorrow I'm going to be a different character. You know, for me, I can't even comment too much on the outer realm change. You know, the outer realms, for me, my knowledge of it is it's like I see the plants, they're here for some time and then they leave. It's as simple as that, this existence. You're here, then you leave. Now you can choose to be here honorably and leave honorably, or you can choose to be here dishonorably. And when I say dishonorably, there's an honor of nature that if there's a certain resonance, it's like if a human being does something, it can't be hidden from their resonance, I would say. What I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to say is that the purpose of life is piloting it. We have been conditioned, many human beings have been conditioned to find truth, to get success, you know, not realizing in the middle of the stories we're telling ourselves there's a world here and it's alive beyond what we can fathom. That is the sacredness of nature. That means I will tell you, I have read a lot of books. At least I've acquainted myself with a lot of ideas in ancient texts. But I will tell you, it's right here in front of our eyes. The truth of the ancient and the truth of the modern are the same. It is nature's mind. And all those philosophers and histories who noticed it, they were guided by the Logos. Anybody who didn't notice it, that means, let me tell you this kind of harsh truth of life. And you know, it's strange because it's not the right thing to say, but I guess it's something that I feel it needs to be said. There has to be allegiances with forces, but not forces of ideology. not ideological groups or weird groups or whatever. I'm telling you, that's all child's play. True life begins when you actually see your whole life you have been looking at human intelligence, but now you just want to look at intelligence. What is intelligent before the human framework comes? And the moment you notice that inseparability, the notice that it's like honestly a laughing moment when you realize your whole life you've been thinking you are your name. It's like if somebody asks you, where are your thoughts right now? I would say, I don't know, man. It's like they're everywhere or nowhere. Now you don't know how much of this was such a long journey for me to get to this, just to be able to notice the inner realms, just to be able to find a need for that word. Because I'm telling you, let me tell you what has happened. Language has denied people to create new language. The language of previous generation, it's literally scary. After object worship, after human beings were focused on objects, we went towards language. And when you ask, when it's like who a person is, that's what's happening. They're gravitating the closest language of their self. You know what's unique? I'll tell you this thought. I had this when I was very young. When I was 11, I remember I was in, I think 11, maybe older actually. At some point, I was in Iran and I was young, and this was the first essay I wrote in my life. I'll never forget it. I still have the notebook here. It's like I think it was like an 11-year-old or maybe like 14-year-old version of me. And I had heard this thing about psychology that certain psychologists certain neurologists had said that we're using 12% of our brain, mainly the frontal region. Now, the whole brain is, of course, working. It's not that we could just separate it. We can't just say only one part of the brain is working. But it's like there was this idea when I was younger, just I had engaged it so deeply, I remember, that if 12% of the brain is being used, what about the rest? What about the 88%? How do we access that 88%? And I remember I wrote an article, like it was the first thing I wrote on my own. It was like, it's like being, I don't know, it was a unique moment for me. And I remember giving this metaphor that I saw it as this situation where the person is given a keychain with endless keys, and they are in a place where there's endless doors, and you can open these doors and some could be empty. You can open these doors and they could lead to more doors. It was 2014, I got the answer to that question, my own answer, of how do we use the other 88%. It's not used as an individual. It's the ecosystem that activates those percentages of the brain. But because we have left the ecosystem, it has become dormant. We have changed our ecosystem from being creatures where the imagination of the animal was limited to the ecosystem, but somehow this creature became aware of itself and it took another stride. No, 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 no. Okay, sorry. I'm responding to the chat, guys. Jason, no, no, no. The reason is it's like in the frontal lobe. It's based on the activity. That means you can think about it that if we're using the same brain as our ancestors, it would never make sense. Same brain percentage. Because our behavior has changed. So you can say if somebody starts doing something they've never done before, you can say, all right, different brain wiring. Not brain wiring, brain synapse. Neural synapses. In certain cultures, they would go on like what was it, like a vision quest. I mean, I'm more familiar with, I would say, a Bhakti yoga approach, and then the Bhakti yoga approach turning into karma yoga. Meaning that first I was drawn by not a concept to the unknown. I was drawn by an emotion. And as the person follows sometimes, not always, so the person should double check. But I don't know, somehow in 2011, around those times, I became extremely preferenceless. And that preferencelessness, I could tell you, was divine, because I was having no opinion on my own opinions. It was just watching. It was as if my whole moment had become eyes. Here's another example, Jason, I could say. For example, Da Vinci, he he drew and wrote at the same time with both hands, and you could kind of see just the mere action being different uses a different percentage of the brain. So to be honest, it is questionable how we can calculate the exact percentage. But I think pretty much it's like a scan, and it's just pretty red at the moment of the snapshot, you know. If you saw life as a line, you could say that this line is made of every moment being like a dot of this line. And so when I wonder about my life purpose, do you know in how many states of this life I have been, and I've wondered about my purpose? Every day I wake up, oh my God, a new life purpose. What is this? It comes with the day. So really, the ultimate is to run with the wild horses, to go along with the events of this earth, making the most efficient decision possible in every dot of that line, which is becoming the person's life. I'm telling you, there's this very unique feeling after the person does something, and often that it becomes second nature. You could say a lot of people have this for driving. A lot of people, driving to them is second nature. That means first, you can say the person who's not who hasn't driven, they're really looking inside the car, how it should be. Oh my God, are my hands right, da 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 da. But the advanced driver is looking outside. Everything is being seen, as if there's certain points of attention to just access, and once the person accesses these points of attention, they're ahead. So what it is it's like, if life is like a roller coaster, you got to find a way to be faster than the roller coaster if you want to control it. Because anything that's faster than you can't control. So if the person has this thought of themselves that they want to change too fast, or they want a result too fast, you can't control it. You know? I could say the most unique thing is after human beings have become incredibly respectful, and there was this idea of respectful silence, this silent respect and compassion for the nature of how everything is being. Once that's there, then the person, this is so unique, only the human being has this ability, because we see ideas separate in our mainstream currently in 2020, because we see ideas separate than the body. Sometimes I'm wondering if there is no self and no world separation and duality, there is actually no unknown as well. Like the unknown is not called unknown at that point. First, the person, the mirror is their teacher. I mean, the mirror is always your teacher. As Jacques Lacan says, the mirror effect, the most important moment in a child's life is when the child notices itself in the mirror and looks at and it consciously sees how it looks like. So what does that mean? The first teacher is the mirror. Then the next teacher is outside of you, people. After people, there is another teacher. It's events. Those can't be taught, they're only experienced. Eventually, every part or content of the whole moment becomes your teacher until you see the only thing that is left, is the student being the last teacher. The student is the last teacher of the student. It's remarkable when I think about it. It's just like, I mean, we don't see it. We see, maybe we walk in the street, we see, some people, but when you think about how many different types of human beings are doing different things, how we have categorized ourselves, how we have organized ourselves into nations, how we have created stories, global stories. For me, that some people perceive the entertainment industry as having a negative influence. Like people say TV makes people stupid, you know? But let me tell you, it's also been doing something strange. It has been providing global narratives, you know? Like that actor from Joey from Friends, that guy went to Turkey and like somebody knew him in a village in Turkey, you know? Somebody knew who he was. As if the narrative was globalized, you know? Each eye going towards something, each moment of being an energetic expression of some sort. Sometimes it's mysterious, you know, like a person can know like physically who they are, but when I sometimes look at people, I don't know, I mean, I look at things too deeply, guys, sometimes. What that means is it's like, I would say Sherlock Holmes was deducing, I'm inducing. Suddenly my mind takes massive uh, leaps towards the general. That means it's like I'm walking and I feel like I'm, just me. And for a second, I'm like, wait a minute, the whole species is on a rock in the middle of nowhere. I can't tell you how much that has become my motivation. Because it's so empty here, we have to encourage everybody to speak. And it's not about declaration. The thing is, people think just because a person speaks, it's like that's changed something. Do you know how many words? Do you know how many voices there are on this earth? There will be. How many types of children in the future generations are going to be born that they're going to see blind spots but that we never knew existed? If we seek more than stories, we will find more than stories. If we seek more than objects, we will find more than objects. If we care to witness the system can breathe anew. Because right now, honestly, I can't tell what is the most important action of the human being. What's the most important effort? That means if somebody would say, if there was one thing that you could put your attention on in this life and was more important than everything, that encompassed everything. Do you know, it's a remarkable moment when you realize you're so small and the universe is so big. That's when your mind becomes humble. Cosmic humility, where you see the stars, the existence, the earth, the cosmos as divine royalty out of chaos, which you can say is the secret of space. If you notice, the most chaotic things in life, at their end, they lead to space. They lead to removal. You know, it's like two forces. It's like two gods that can't make their mind if they want a chaotic universe or an ordered universe, and man and endless creatures are here in the bewilderment. Do you know? We are extracting purpose to life pretty much in every moment. Pretty much, we either see structure and potential, or we see potential before the structure. You know, it could be very likely that all of human knowledge is hollow, only meaningful to us. Not per se in the physical sciences, I would say. Those are very evident. But those meant a lot of things that human beings are calling knowledge, even all that we assume that we know ourselves. I'm telling you, the subject, by not being an object, has no obligation to stay as a form. You know, language is thin ice, and a multidimensional experiencer will step out of this metamorphosis as a conscious world. Today, we are walking on the world, on the planet. Tomorrow, we are the planet. And so it's like we're just designed, it's like, think of even if life is a simulation, if the person perceives it as a simulation. It's like, why is all this here? Why are the senses? Why is light entering like eyes? Just to wonder about that. Another way we can move this idea of life purpose extraction in the inner realms is to put it in a spectrum of time and to wonder about how was it seen in the past, how was it seen now, how will it be seen in the future. Life purpose based on how the person was, whether secular intent or non-secular. From the non-secular standpoint, there was the concept of destiny, or you can say more on the Oriental side, one organism. Life was seen to be one thing. So you can say the more people were one with nature, the less their purpose was individualized, the less there was an individual purpose. The more people were like an ocean, the less there were a sort of reality of a drop. So in the past, oceanic vision, kind of destined. In the present, we don't know. I will tell you it's just based on processing. Like if you consider the brain as a data processor, it's processing unknown variables and known variables because every person has a sort of database of familiar patterns to their site. So these database of familiar patterns, they're rolling, they're kind of programs, applications running in the unconscious of the mind of the person. And applications that are running in the outer realms that don't relate to that must be interpreted as something new. So the brain's like, what do I do? Does this relate to the past or is this something new? And if it goes past the past pattern, I would say pretty much dance of the unknown and known in the moment. So it's our choice for now, Right now, if you were to see the person's life purpose, it's first based on how you see life, then where you want to go here, or how you express effort as some sort of velocity of a creature with direction and speed. The speed is your energy levels on this planet based on your outer realms, but the direction is from the mind. Now, in the future, how would people see their life purpose? I mean, I would say they would either see multiple purposes to life at the same time, and they would be able to navigate that through them. What that would mean is, imagine you were a being with like 10 bodies on the same planet, but in different parts of the planet. You would be able to shift in the sight of each of those. Or think as if you have this computer and you have like 10 drones, going about, and you can shift from the screen and check each screen, on full screen. We don't realize it, but we're going to have an incredible need for writers because the mind is uncharted territory. Pretty much when there's stuff we don't know, the explorers come out. And the explorers of the modern world are those who have realized their eyes are here and their eyes have a potential to see. It's all about identifying with what is happening, which is a present experience, or what is will happen, which is a present thought, or is a present image. It's like an inner realm event, technically, a thought. And it's all changing, meanwhile, in all our categorization. The moment the person identifies, actually, it's not even something you can identify. If you move like a wind as your whole moment, those who live as a mind, their karma will be intelligent. Those who live as a body, their karma will not be as intelligent. As a body that is howling some unknown mind around. It's like this, it's a tool. It's like we're advanced technology that must find a way to administer itself and then administer everything else, everything else. I would say in the future, based on even cyberspace, let's say cyberspace kicks in, and people have actually a cyberspace life. Right now, I would say I'm kind of like in the pioneering moment of cyberspace. You know, in the sense that, like, technically these talks are like a digital existence. So, you know, it is kind of like life in a cyberspace, but maybe not as a character, you know. That means here's the cool thing. If in the future, I mean cool at the same time intense, like if in the future people's heads are connected to the internet and the person gets caught in cyberspace and they can't leave it, and they have access to YouTube in that cyberspace, my talks will feel like someone from the outside of the simulation talking, you know, or any podcast. Okay, so anyone new to the channel, um, I'm going to go into a poetry tunnel and I'm going to read from this poetry work I wrote in what year? 2018. And it's called Kites of Old. The poem, the first poem, is called What Has Made the Wind? What has made the wind of change travel through all manifestation? Whose kite strings are longer than eternity? What makes the child who hasn't learned language yet laugh like purity? Some soldiers forget the actual weapon. Is a thought accepted too soon? Could it be that the stars shine because our eyes are open? May it be so. That love feels whole before shapes are broken shapelessly. Can reality be the cause of the unreal? Did tolerance order mushrooms on the pizza made of space and time? Many mysteries are intertwined to show the moment cannot be. Feel free and all will be ready. So guys, the last three lines are I find important from this poem. Feel free and all will be ready. So that means people per se don't need to practice being ready. They need to practice feeling free. Feeling, let me tell you something any person can do, whatever you're trying. Let's say you're a person who you have, let's say, I don't know, something important, a very special important thing you got to do. Okay, so just what you do, let's say it's a presentation in front of a crowd of people or something like that, you know. So it would be something where I don't know, it's like you, the person, like I sometimes go and sit, like when I don't know, before I sleep, or sometimes when I wake up, I sit, I close my eyes, and intentionally, something that I want to do, try to visualize it. You know how if somebody told you visualize a blue cube hovering in the air, that's easy, right? Now Mr. Within is telling you, imagine you were visualizing the whole event, and you visualized it numerous times, as if in your inner realms you were living in a moment of that similar intensity. This was the point of true training. For martial artists, those Shaolin monks you would see in the forest alone training, they were training as if they were trying to find their greater self. They didn't care about the numbers, they didn't care about the thing. It was all about the effort towards the greater. Feel free and all will be ready. The next poem that I would like to read for you from this poetry work, Kites of Old, is called Guardians of Nothing. Once a lion could not eat a sheep because it felt it was one. Is the trigger the weapon's fault? Your hands belong to all space and time. In creation, sign language seems to be popular for those who cannot live beyond the ego's deafness. You're not burdened by your decisions unless you think you're a thought. The guardians of nothing acknowledge a changing world before ideas. And the last poem for this episode, it's called Wild Running. While running, the gods began playing with planets like marbles bought at a wholesale. Who can take the big and see it within the small? Is truth hereditary, or is conception beyond the context of any introduction? The poet claps for nonsense while out of body. Physicality needs non-physicality in order to dance like change. How often have you fed? The homeless who have forgotten the movement of God within their veins. I have been to many temples. They are all the same. For when the elements of this world no longer bother you, how could the next? Run like the wild and feel the bliss of being near. The cosmos is your grandest audience. And guys, the next poem I just gotta read. Its title is Performance of Eons. After many years beyond conceptual counting, an ape stood up to see the other side. Why did the chicken cross the road? Some mystics feel the road crossed the chicken as many were driven by ignorant blindness. Should we care if a huge asteroid hits Earth? The light in your eyes will beg to differ once the homeless have found their true home. The performance of eons is just a reminder of how the instant is already whole. Be free, just like you have always known. Once the non-dual witness is discovered, nature's voice opens up to the ears of the heart. If the heart listens to the nature's voice, not ideological, not characteristic, it's nature. That means it's the whole moment. It can't be even a concept. That means I thought knowing had to be a relay. What does that mean? That means like when a person's speaking to someone else, it's like, hey, catch these sounds I'm throwing into your ear. And the person's like, okay, and they jump up and the sounds go into their ear like a baseball mitt, you know? But see, so there's a delay. There is like literally a flight of communication from source to destination, right? So this is not natural. When you are your whole moment, there isn't that relay. It's instant because it's an inner realm event. What does that mean? That means if someone was sitting beside you and they couldn't see a film and they asked you, hey, what's happening? Let's say they were at the kitchen, they couldn't see the film, let's say. The person just hears the sound of the film. They can't see the film. They're like, what's happening? And you, because by the nature of seeing the exact scene in the film, you can instantly transcribe it. You can instantly relay it. Be wild, free, and creative. Then, have a little discipline. Okay, I'm gonna read one more, guys. Why not? Why not? That's the reason. Smiles from the heaven within. We're all given divine guidance from the soul of all souls. Have you noticed the universe in one verse? We must learn to live simpler than thought can tell. The mind likes to play games with itself. What makes the transcendentalist a joyous walker into the abode of joyous non-conception? Does mystery have a mistress? Some coughs are a suggestion that burning plants heal as much as the mirror can. Who is so wise to look at death and only see life? As all the heavens bow to your earthen smile, could it be that your heart beats for all of us? The next poem, guys, is called Beyond the Within. So the previous poem was called Smiles from the Heaven Within. This is now called Beyond the Within. So I kind of see it as the continuation of the other one. Yeah. Beyond the Within. So one night I saw all the worlds of manifestation at once. Of course, I was using a comb, and each hair on my head had become its own universe. Our kindness shows who we can truly be. Beyond the within, you are everything. So anyways, guys, thanks for listening. My whole intention with this episode was to share that, all right, we're creatures. We open our eyes every day existentially. It's like one massive event and journey. Experientially, we alter through the states of conscious waking state, dreams, deep dream, dream state, and deep sleep. All right, and deep sleep is really what makes us feel new. Feels like something's changed from yesterday. You know. So technically it means our mind is having three types of relationships with the body. And in one of those relationships, it's neither an object or subject, deep sleep. In the relationship of the dream state, the mind is creating the body. How phenomenal is that the body's chilling, sleeping in the bed, but the mind is like created a body in a dream where the person's moving in. Like, You know, you want to know why I think we're advanced technology? That's why, you know. We can live while we're asleep in our minds. And we think it's in our minds, but I'm telling you, we are spheres. We just don't realize it yet. Energetically, we're spheres. It's like everybody's a sphere, and a chunk of the sphere is in the ground. We don't like. Okay, this may be a bit off topic. What I'm trying to say is like, energy has secrets that man can't even fathom yet. That means, let's say somebody could tell the man the truth. Man's like, okay, what do I do with this truth now? Do I like hold it in my hand? Do I free it like a dove? Do I, you know, free it like a Dove shampoo on my head? Yeah, on my hair. You know, I'm just find something in this life you care about. Honestly, walk towards that direction. See what happens, and in accordance to the feedback, just make your next decision. You know. That means you got to find a way to test the waters of your greatest potential, but not as the greatest potential where the person has a poster of Superman, you know, on a wall nobody can see. You know, people want ability. I'm telling you, in the future, like if some one person had a jetpack, it's like the neighbor's gonna be like, "Yo, man, I wish I had a jetpack," and suddenly the jetpack market would boom. I honestly think there would be no need for cars. There could be a huge thing that if we have jetpacks and these jetpacks are sound based so they don't burn or they don't explode, and there's somehow some sort of, I don't know, security formation or something. Like the biggest issue with jetpacks is like having one and then suddenly it stops working and you're like, okay, this is why nobody can write a bad customer review for jetpacks. Imagine people with jetpacks leaping to work. You're jumping over cities, trees, let's say even the government at that point where everybody has jetpacks creates these platforms where people can jump. Everybody's getting exercise by at the same time it's the coolest experience of just being able to float into the air, you know. You know, something that could potentially happen in the future is that we could make, like, you know how you see these spheres? I remember there was a Simpson movie where this giant sphere, like half sphere, kind of fell on the city or whatever, right? So I thought we could have certain areas where the gravitation is like low. So imagine there's neighborhoods where the gravity is less. And so the richest people are trying to get into that neighborhood, you know, where it's like everybody who lives there, they can jump, I don't know, 2 meters in the air. Like, I don't know, houses are like bigger, the people are jumping around everywhere, you know what I mean? Like, gravity is not that much of an issue. Because gravity is really what really makes us old, if you think about it. It's this constant pressure. And sometimes it's very hard to tell what gravity is because Isaac Newton how can I say it? It was like it was seen before. Okay, here, Isaac Newton kind of brought forth this idea through, I would say, classical physics that the center, it's the mass, the giant mass of the planet that's causing it to have this gravitational pull. But Einstein came and somehow meshed space and time together, and so now I could tell you it's like there's a curvature. So what it is it's literally like a cloth with a giant with a glass orb thrown at the center of it, right? So it's pulling things towards itself. And I'm there was something in what was it? Aerophysics. Uh, uh, what was it? It was like a conical lift up. Uh, Let me see if I can find this. So guys, I couldn't find the picture I was looking for. But this picture I found is gonna describe it in a better way. These two pictures I found. Just hang on. Okay, there we go. So whoever's tuning in, just look at the pictures I've put. These two pictures are a suggestion of that conical idea I was saying. So pretty much we got to get out of the ditch. You know, this could be a very far-fetched idea, but it could be that there is endless invisible landscape we don't see. That means one side of the coin emptiness, other side of the coin never empty. everything is relative to everything else. So who we are is just unknown, journeying attention that, as it realizes it's here for a little while, can choose to do something here. That means 4 billion years of evolution so that the purpose of life can be dictated by ourselves, you know? Now we've dictated our lives separate now from nature, then we're going towards an evolutionary return to nature. Excuse me. So anyways, guys, thanks for listening. I hope this episode was helpful. And just to keep in mind, it's a dynamic changing system. And as some scholars have said, nobody knows enough to worry. Nobody knows enough to worry. Nobody knows enough to even know what's going to happen tomorrow. We have to check the weather. So anyways, guys, thanks for listening. It's a changing world. Enjoy it. Bless.